Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. If you would, please bow your head. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for providing us the space and time to gather today. Help us as we make decisions for our school district to center the needs of children, to think critically about our teachers and staff, and to ensure that everything we do is to your glory. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, earlier last week, the board was provided an agenda. Take a moment to look it over, and when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I did add one resignation this afternoon. And a couple of claims, that's all that's added.
That's great. Nothing material has changed. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of our last meeting. There are 2 meetings to review: our meeting on March 17th, 2025, and our meeting on April 16th, 2025.
I have reviewed both sets of minutes. I can make a motion to accept.
There's a motion to accept both minutes as they stand. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Moving on to item number 4, financials, and item 4.1, the financial update.
The fund balance as of March 31st was $4,809,801.30. The cash on hand as of March 31st, the district maintenance was $4,674,437.48. The legislature and the governor has still not passed and signed an appropriation bill. The governor has come out and said that he would not call them back to a special session until they could come up with a handshake deal on agreeing on a appropriation. So who knows when that may be. Coming down the pipe, end of this week, I'll be advertising for bids for a repository for next year to open at the May board meeting. So we'll solicit bids for a depository for FY26. Last year, I believe all 3 banks in Water Valley bid on it. Right now, I'm also getting quotes for our property liability, cyber insurance. Michigan School Board Association has a representative. I've got him the information, and Arthur J. Gallagher has it now, and I've already submitted the application to them. So I don't know if it'll be the May or June meeting once they get a bid to us. So hopefully it'll be like the last couple of years. We've had a little increase, but nothing like what other districts. Some districts got a 60 to 70% increase. Ours has been 5 and 6, which is good. So hopefully it will. If we do get an increase, it will not be much.
So how many quotes did you get?
There's very few. Just there for a while. When I first started, there was only one insurance company that would even quote school, and they pretty much have a monopoly. And then Wellington Associates came up with a pool. It dropped dramatically. Wellington came at self-insured. They beat Bottrell. Bottrell got out of the insurance. We've had companies in the past come in and want to bid, but they want me to sign an agent of record with them.
So will you get at least 2 bids, or now?
Well, we would like to say, anybody reaches out to me, I give it. When I tell them I won't sign their agent of record with them, because if they get the bid, they get the commission on it if they're our agent. So I'm not willing to do that. So Everhoover is our provider, our agent of record. So
We'll have 2 bids this year.
Yeah, we
Okay,
should
that's
have,
what I
well,
was gonna-
if he turns in a bid, I've given him all the information, filled out the application, whether they
Mhm.
come back with a bid, that is on them.
He's doing a lot of legwork on it too, so.
Yeah.
Yes. Same way with the depository bid, I published it in the paper. There's been years where all three, there's been years where just one. That's all I can do. I can't make anyone bid that,
Of course.
you know, of
Can I
course.
ask a question about
Sure.
the process? Will we, similar to the depository bids, do we see
There'll
them
be
sealed?
there'll be a sealed bid, and you will open the bids.
Yeah,
I will put it in the paper when they're due,
got
and
it.
it'll be on, they'll come sealed. I'll
Mhm.
write on them, me, or whoever, if they bring it while I'm at lunch.
Gotcha.
They'll put,
Like when they're out at
they'll
last.
put the date and time that it was received here, so that way, because if it's passed when I say it's due in the ad, it's automatically checked.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, yeah, that's written in the code section of law, how that has to be done. But it's gotta run for 2 weeks, and I don't like running it well before we're about to open them. I mean, I could have ran the advertisement in January, but we're not gonna open them in May.
Yeah.
But after swapping banks last year, we opened them, I think, a month earlier last year, because I didn't know what the process was gonna be, how terrible it was gonna be if a different bank got it, swapping everything over. So we did it last year, and if we have to do it again, a month gives me plenty of time. I realize that now after swapping banks, I can do it. If we open in May, in June, I can get everything set up if another depository actually got the
And
bid.
it wasn't terrible.
It was, I ain't gonna say it's painless, but it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. I just had to keep a couple accounts open. Our clearing accounts, our payroll, and our accounts payable, because we transfer money into it, and our checks come out of it. I had to keep them open until the check's cleared, and once all the checks cleared, or 90 days.
I'm sure it wasn't easy, but
No, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't like a process that took
months and months.
months to get.
Well, as bad as you thought.
No, it wasn't as bad at all. It's the first time I ever had to do it, and FMD made it a seamless process.
Yeah, technology helps,
Good.
because
Yes.
a lot of it we were just signing on iPads and
Yeah.
just scrolling.
So I know we talked about having a budget work session.
That was my next question.
Until it's, I guess it's not pointless, but until they sign a appropriation bill, we really don't know
Mhm.
what we're gonna have or not have
Yeah.
going forward.
Would you be okay if we scheduled a preliminary work session where members of the board could come together and better understand what's in the budget, where we will be able to make decisions, and then we can schedule a follow-up once we have the budget approval?
That's fine.
Is that all right? And are there weeks that are better for you?
The week of May,
It's all right, we can work it out.
no, like I say, I can just tell you, that way, while we're all here, it's gonna be easier to do. I have a meeting in Flowood, May 6th through the 9th. That's the only time I know, because I would like to have, well, if they'll sign an appropriation bill, get our advertising and everything in, our notice of tax intent and everything else, whether they ask for an increase or not, we've gotta run that 3 weeks. Whether they ask for an increase, decrease, we still gotta run the ad and have the budget hearing. And then, like I say, when we meet July 1st, that's when the third Monday in July is when I would like to, instead of having a special call meeting to come just approve the budget after the budget hearing. Anytime other than the 6th through the 9th of May. And like I say, if y'all wanna just get together or whatever and discuss it and tell me what time's good for y'all just let me know. Yeah,
Any
right,
objection
yeah.
from the board to work on that outside of this? Okay, we'll schedule
So,
it and let you.
like I say, just let me know when and what time, and I have zero problems coming and explaining it, because I know this will be my 25th budget, so it's kind of second nature, you know.
Yeah,
I can, explain it as much as I can to get it where
great.
you have a better understanding of it. Like I say, 80 to 85% of our budget's gonna be salary and benefits, so there's not a whole lot left to really discuss of what to do with when you got insurance in there.
Gonna chop it up.
Yeah, so.
Are there
But
any
no, I
other
have
questions?
zero problem with that.
I appreciate it. Are there any other questions about the financial update? Hearing Hearing none, let's move forward to item 4.2, the claims docket.
That book system, that is a software program that we've gotta have, and they scan with the guns and all that, and that's for both schools. That TriStar Companies, that 2656, and I think it was the women's teachers' restroom, we had a water leak that was in the wall, so they had to come in and bust the wall out, cut the cap it off and all that, and we had to pay overtime because it happened later on at the end of the day. So that's.
And we had to cut the water off in the kitchen too, so that's what we had to have it done.
You know, so it was one of those, it had to happen. That U-Science, it's a program they use up at the high school, Mr. Pickpock can make it, know exactly.
It's just
that
it's
person.
just like individualized education plan basically for every student that maps them out. And once they hit seventh grade, it kind of gives them a plan of, instruction, just based on on individual student, so.
And the big one that, BSN Sports, that's football supplies, that's jerseys for next year, which, Coach Faust has done a spectacular job at fundraising.
All over it.
Yes. And that Rydell, that's helmet reconditioning. You know, a helmet's only good, I think, for 10 years. So they go in and they pressure test and all that, and repaint them and all that. And it keeps us from having to buy $300 helmets. So we buy a few every year, but this keeps us from having to, and like I say, if they've got a crack or anything like that, they kick them out and then we've got to replace them. That CCF Tennessee, that's the host laundry detergent fundraiser.
Big ones, just,
The big one, that First Security Bank, that's the GL bond payment.
that's what I was telling
That's
this year.
Yeah, so,
Or this month, so we can drop that on the GO one.
yeah, like I said, we levy taxes for that, so. Other than that, the rest of it's pretty much,
I had someone ask me about the trees, why the trees were cut down.
because the field stayed wet. And to get some,
Needed sunlight.
it needed sunlight.
Well, I think a lot of them have a lot of woodpecker issues and things like that too, do they not have? were they not
Yeah, I mean, they were
deteriorating and falling?
living in
I
the
think-
pine trees and,
Yeah.
drilling holes in the light poles and
In the
stuff like
light
that.
poles.
And they were so tall and so thin that we're worried about a straight line wind coming through and it would have landed directly on the dugouts.
The dugout, the fence, the light line.
You never know when kids are there. We have pop-ups going all the time.
Yeah.
I
And like I
understand all
say,
that,
and-
I just wanted to ask.
And Coach Allen wanted it done, and we got it done very cheap, very cheap. So, because most people on those big pines will want $3,000 a pine
For
tree,
sure, yeah.
and I don't know many have.
Well, I'm not complaining at all, I just,
We got a
people ask,
very good
so.
deal. I know, and I bet
just
people
wanna
ask
clarify
about it as
that.
well. You know,
It looks
say,
different.
cut trees, nobody has.
And like I say, we're gonna have it by, yes, it looked terrible the last half of but after it dries out, we've got a fire truck, so we're gonna, not a windy day, Mr. King said he'll come and burn it, and then, like I say, cut stumps down and get it where, by next softball season, it'll look nice.
Okay.
But yes, it probably doesn't look
It's a nice
very
little
aesthetically
bud, you know.
pleasing to the eye at the moment.
I'm
But,
not complaining, I'm just,
I appreciate the plans to make this.
Yes.
yeah, so. But, any other questions on the plan?
Having reviewed, I'll entertain a motion to approve the payments for claims 52807 to 52910 in the amount of $532,046.13 that are fair and just.
I like that question.
I have a motion, is there a second? I have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Howard?
Y'all need anything else?
no,
Oh, you
you're welcome
need
to
it.
stay.
Yes. It's a
Hey,
crowd.
Stick around.
Yeah.
That turkey's not been fried, so.
So you're coming back, is what I hear.
I got some turkey ready to hit the grease, so.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Randy.
see you.
Bye. I'll be in touch about that meeting. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 5, discussion and action. Item 5.1 is public comment. Does anybody want to make a public comment? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to item 5.2, Teachers of the Year.
So we have, like I always say, the best teachers in the state. I really do believe that, and it's an honor to be able to recognize the best of the best that we have. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize both of our Teachers of the Year, and I'll have the building principal from each school read off their citation, and then David will do pictures and all that. So proud to announce our Davidson Elementary Teacher of the Year, Ms. Stephanie Bobo.
So I've got to know Bobo over the last 2 years. Didn't realize it until the end of last year. I actually had the pleasure of coaching her nephew at Lafayette. Got to know him. Great young man. I'll echo what Mr. Pitcock said. We have an incredible staff at Davidson Elementary, and a lot of people deserving of the award. But like I was telling Vicki, you know there's certain people when they win that award that you just know we got it right 100%. And Ms. Bobo is the embodiment of Davidson Elementary. The write-up, probably the most accurate thing or the most telling thing was a loud cheering roar of applause exploded at Davidson Elementary cafeteria when we announced that it was Ms. Bobo, and it continued a while. She had come up and we had her family and her husband there, and you could just tell the staff 100% behind that selection. And you know, the things that she's been able to do, her personal motto is expect greatness. But one of the things that I love about her in particular is she also recognizes that greatness looks different for a lot of different people. That is so key, especially in the elementary phase of education, that not everybody's going to be a level 5 proficient advanced student, but everybody can achieve their own personal greatness. And Ms. Bobo recognizes that, and she pushes students individually. She has been married to her husband Jerome for the last 10 years. Her children are Brooklyn, Juan, and Jace, and they are back there. Some of her students were quoted in saying, she knows how to turn a bad day into a good one. She teaches in a fun way that helps us learn. She has a great singing voice too. There's never a dull moment in her class. She's one of the best teachers I've ever had. I love Miss Bobo because she is funny and sweet, and if any of us don't understand anything, she will reteach it until we get it. She understands and helps people when they are feeling down. She always manages to bring a smile to my face. And for my write-up for Miss Bobo, I just said that she is one of the most inspiring teachers and personalities that I've ever had the privilege to work alongside. This is year 14 for me in education. I've worked with a lot of people, but she is one of the top-notch human beings that I've had the pleasure of working with. Not just teacher, but just person. She's one of the most positive people I've ever met, and goes out of her way to speak and or sing to staff members in the morning to make us feel welcome. Our students love her because she builds and nurtures stronger relationships with them. She has one of the most fun classrooms. I think what I always go back to was the SpongeBob rap and making kids defend with textual evidence right or wrong answers. But when you go into her classroom, you know, she teaches 6th grade writing and grammar right now. You know, for a lot of 6th graders, that's not their most favorite subject. But if you ask who their favorite teacher is, it's a unanimous answer. But that's because how she runs her classroom and how fun and involved she makes it to them. I could not think of a better person to stand here and represent Davidson Elementary. Again, she was in the top 3 finalists last year, top 2, I think, last year. And so to watch us get it right and to watch her get the recognition this time is just been amazing. And we are so very blessed to have her with us.
Yeah, let's do that.
Now our White Valley High School Teacher of the Year is Coach Vaughn Daniels.
So first of all, I want to say that His wife and I, Courtney, kept this a secret for him for about 2 weeks. I don't know how she kept it a secret. He wasn't sure. She was texting me and saying, okay, when are you telling him? Can I tell him? I was like, no, you can't tell him. So anyway, I got creative and used his students to unscramble some words, and he figured out that it was him. And so I have a video that I will share later on with him and on social media. But first, I want to say that just some things about him before I get to why he was selected. He's been teaching for 15 years. He started the first powerlifting teams where there were multiple state championships, as well as North half champs and a state champion runner-up. Vaughn coached football 13 years, including the 2018 state championship team. He was a 2024 star teacher. Vaughn is currently enrolled in Mississippi College and will complete his master's degree in Ed Leadership in August. Vaughn is a pillar in our community as a Sunday school teacher, vice president of the Northwest District Livestock Association, and he and his wife Courtney and son Wyatt, and I know y'all seen them going on all these livestock shows, and they enjoy raising cattle and showing cattle. Coach Daniels is the kind of teacher who just jumps in and does whatever is needed to help. He doesn't ask questions, why are you doing it this way? We've always done it this way. You know, what's your process? Why are you thinking this? He just says, he doesn't even say, what do I need to do? He just does it. He's a critical thinker. He's a problem solver. He has a way, just like Ms. Bobo, of reaching all students and connecting with them on a personal level. Vaughn is the kind of educator, role model, and mentor who goes above and beyond the classroom for our students. Some words to describe him are passionate, professional, genuine, unwavering, patient, compassionate, and encouraging. Vaughn always has a life lesson for students, which always includes a story. And when I'm having days, I think he can just sense when you're having those tough days and those tough moments. And he always has a way of telling me a story or the kids a story to try to get them to understand the bigger picture. And he does that on a level with me also. He cultivates and ensures that every student feels seen, heard, and understood. He excels in the classroom with his U.S. state history state test scores, which are some of the top in the state. Just observing him in his classroom, there's a lot of days where I could just sit in there and just listen to him teach and how he can relate the lessons to them on a way that they can understand it, that it's relevant, it's meaningful, and it's engaging. Beyond academics, Coach Daniels is an incredible role model. One student said, Coach Daniels truly cares about the well-being of his students. He goes the extra mile to make sure we understand the material, and he's always there to support us, both in and out of the classroom. Personally, there were times I forgot to submit assignments, even though I had them done, and he still let me turn them in because he knew I was trying. That kind of understanding really motivates me to be a better student. Coach Daniels has always been a wonderful teacher. For one, he's always engaging with the class. He's very goofy and makes us laugh, which makes his class so much more fun to come to. He's a teacher that helps you whenever you need help. He always seems to find scenarios, stories, pictures, videos to use so we can better understand the lesson. And lastly, he cares for his students. He never lets a child walk in his room without a smile on their faces. And that is the type of, not just teacher, but the type of person that he is. We are blessed beyond blessed and grateful for you, Coach Daniels. From my personal testimony, like I said, Vaughn has helped me in more ways than I can count in just these last 2 years. He never asks why again, he just simply pitches in. He always has a way of knowing if my plate is stacked high or if I need just to be encouraged. So thank you, Coach, for going the extra mile for our students, our school, our district, our community, and I can't wait to see where leadership will take you on a larger scale. I love you and I'm very proud of you.
Listening to those two commendations, I am struck by the power of rigor, relationships, and results in a classroom. And it seems clear that the two of you embody that so deeply. And that's the model that I hope for our students in this district. and I am so proud to have you work here. Thank you on behalf of the board and the district. Thank you for your service. You should be in there. We'll take just a brief pause while they get the photograph, and then we'll get back together.
Young boy was thinking they was talking the whole time. He had it sideways, down. Do it that? I didn't.
Take 6 away to rock you around.
I say, I didn't thought, just touch me.
It was so moving. You know, the ones who donates where the kids were starting in like 6th grade or whatever, and the teacher died at the best.
Did it feel? They're only like 1.25 or something.
Yes. So
I take them all off because I don't think they're not there.
I don't know.
Even I don't even look at Randy, so I'm constantly like an old lady looking up at the top of it. When I go to Jackson, treasure and half stuff, and I look up and go, Randy, he takes me, quick. Yes, but last year I had a red readers. Last year, I need readers.
Well, clearly. Thank you, Mr. Tlaycott. All right. That was so great. Let's return to the agenda. We will move forward to item 5.3. We have a request to appear from Michael Walton.
What up, Mr. Walton?
Yes, sir.
And our rules of the road are you have 5 minutes. So
You have
I
5
don't know if you get it done.
I'm usually the record, so they can do that, sorry.
How are you going? May I have? These damn right here, they're gonna have to- And I don't want,
For you.
I'll tell you what. I don't know if you guys gonna.
We need to move around.
Yes, please.
Remember what I did last time? I think I do something different every time. HDMI.
Just the front.
I
Again, to the board, thanks for having me on this evening. Board, I'm Michael Walton, your Yellow County tax assessor. So, and I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to come today. I've had a meeting with the county, the city. We're talking to all of our local civic groups. We're trying to get around to as many people people we can. Again, today I have Mr. Ryan Strickland. He's the owner and operator of Strickland Appraisal. He's an appraiser that I've hired to work with me in the tax office. So he's just here with me just in case I may call on him to say something. But I made a quick presentation, and you guys please, during this presentation, stop me. Rodney, if you guys got questions, stop me and ask me, please. I want to talk to you guys, and I heard some information you guys talking about budget issues today. And like I said, July will be here around the corner. It's going to start time to work on budget and millage rates. I want to talk about a couple of things, and we're going to get into a couple of slides. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but please stop me and ask any questions. This year, our index, and then I'll explain to you what that is. The index is a benchmark that tracks the performance of the real estate market, typically by measuring changes in property values. Long story short, property values, not taxes. Property values in Yalobusha County, where everywhere are going up. Property values, again, not taxes. We'll get into taxes in a little while. Property values are going up, and that's everywhere. All counties are having the same discussion. In Mississippi, there's 32 new tax assessors. 32 new tax assessors. The largest class ever in the state of Mississippi is because of what's happening. Property taxes are going up, and the ones that's been there 30 years, they're like, oh, I'm not gonna deal with this. So there's a lot of us first class, and this is hitting at that time. Well, and that's an index. The index marks how the value of houses go up. Yalobusha County, our property values are at the bottom of the market. We have houses literally on Market Street, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that are selling for close to $300,000. Well, we have a property value on some of them for $90,000. So the index now has to go up to meet property and market value. That's required by the state. The state has went up to you won't understand what this number is, but the state has went up to a 1.25 index. 1.25 index. Well, right now ours is at 1.08, so it's mandatory that we're within 10% of the states. So we're trying to do it as best we can, but we've sent our new index in, and our new index is going to be 1.15. That's moving it up from 1.08 to 1.15, because I'm trying to do the best I can with keeping property values down low as I can. So 1.15 is the closest I can get on our index. But again, you guys know what the next part is, the millage rate, which is a numerical multiplier attached to the value of property and is used to calculate local property taxes. That's where you guys come in at. It's going sitting at this table and doing your millage rates. So index. My next slide. This is my property. I'm using my house for example. This is my tax bill for 2024. This is what I paid in taxes for my home. Not the business, we'll get into that later. For my home, my total property value is $155,787 total value, then your assessment ratio. That top line is what the tax assessor does. The tax assessor's job is to get on every piece of property, all 13,000 parcels in Yalobusha County. My job is to get an assessment value on your home, on your property, on your business. That's my job. Then your job comes into play. That 13469, this is my millage rate. I'm in the county, so I only pay county and school taxes. So my ad valorem taxes were $2,098, so they came to 134 because your school millage rate is 50 point something, and then the county taxes are 70 something. We'll get to that also. But this was my tax bill from last year, and the index is 1.08. So my tax bill last year for my home was $1,798.34. Now, the school part of that millage rate, because the school millage rate was 57.6. So the school, of that $1,700, $1,798 got paid, I paid $897.35 in ad valorem taxes to the school. That was my part with 57.6. with a 57.6 on the millage rate, that was school millage rate. On next year, right now, that value, with that 1.15 index, with that 1.08, my total value of my house is 155,787. On next year, the total value of my house is gonna go all the way up from 155 to 189, to $189,000. So that means with a 10% ratio, if the millage rate doesn't change, that means my tax bill for the school would be $1,092.21 if we don't do something about the millage rate. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. Be ready. Now, I'm not saying the millage rate have to change, but just listening sounds like the school is doing pretty good. So what I'm saying is, when it's time for you guys to work on your millage rate, please remember, you're gonna be able to get the same thing that just say the same money. If it took whatever it took to run the school last year, if it takes that again this year, remember, because a lot of people, I don't know if you have someone that comes in work on the millage rate, or you guys do it yourself. 57 meals, you're gonna get a lot more from 57 meals than you did last year. If it isn't needed, please look at making sure you drop your millage rates. And I'm gonna give you an example. Remember that for 57 meals, last year had 890. If you go back, it was $897. But if that millage rate stayed the same, we're looking at almost $200 difference in just the school tax. Most of the people in here that I see, a lot of you guys live in the county and the city, so you can county schools, you're talking about 20% on each one. So 20% on each one. But that's just on the school taxes. If I go to this next, so that's a $200 increase, raising the index from 1.8 to 1.15 with an increase of 20%. Now, just say you drop that millage rate, it was 57. Just say you drop that millage rate to 50 meals. The value on my house will be 189. The assessment ratio will be $18,960. If you just did 50 meals, you're still getting more than you. Because you see my school ad valorem tax now at $948.10. Even if it went down to 50 meals, it's still more than what it was last year, what I'll be paying in taxes. That's just what a millage rate decrease of 50 meals. If those properties, just say if our property tax, if the county, city, and school said, okay, we're leaving the millage rates the same, we don't care, we'll just fuss with the people in the community, we would just let everything stay the same. If you don't adjust the millage rates. Now, I paid a $1,700 millage rate. If everything stayed the same and no one adjusted their millage rate, look at what my taxes will be. From $1,700 to $3,000.20. Again, and we're just talking about the properties that have homestead. Your owner operated, your home that you live in. That's not if you have a second home, because remember that property is taxed at 15%. If you own any land, if you own a business, that business is taxed at 15%. 15%, that's no homestead. See, that's $3,020, that's with a homestead, and that's with a 10%. If we do not adjust our millage rates. And again, home values are going up. That's a given. That's something that we have to do by the state. But this county, city, and the schools, again, you guys control the actual taxes. So what you guys do on the millage rate controls what that person sees when they get their tax bill. They won't understand any of this, but they're gonna understand that number that's in the bottom right-hand corner. They're gonna understand that number that's in the bottom right-hand corner. So if they get a tax bill just like me, if I didn't understand any of this, I got a bill last year for $1,700. This year I got a bill for $3,000. What happened? What happened? So again, if we do not adjust our millage rate, and again, it's coming soon. You gotta be sitting at the table working on your budget soon. Make sure. Now again, if they have to stay the same, I have no problem with that. Well, I don't say I have a problem. But I understand what it takes. It takes a lot to run the schools. Believe me, I hear it every day. Why is this? Why? It takes a lot to run the county. It takes a lot of money to run the city. People don't understand what all they have to pay, just like some of the things that you guys were calling out those things, they don't cost $20 anymore to fix. You can't fix the wall in the bathroom for $100. I mean, it just, but I understand if I had to pay a little bit more, and we have a good county board, we have a good city board, we have a good school board. I mean, we don't have people that waste money, waste taxpayers' money. But we do need to remember to adjust your millage rates, bring those millage rates down. But again, I don't know what projects the school will have next year. School may have some big projects and they have to leave the millage rate the same because there will be some more value that they can pull from. But my job again is to get an assessment on every property in Yellow County. And just like mine, my property assessment next year will be $18,962. And again, total millage rates and everything, I'll be, if the county and the school say, okay, we're gonna leave the millage rate the same, that's what kind of tax bill I'll be looking at. And on the values of home, values are going up on your home. You will have time this year to come and contest your values. And the way that you come in and contest your values are, you know, you bring in your insurance, you can bring in a recent survey. But everyone knows the last 4 years property values have skyrocketed. I am supposed to, by law, be at least 80% of market value on homes in Yellow County. I'm supposed to be. If you see my property value is still going to be there, I'm still not even close to what Farm Bureau says my market value is on house. They said to rebuild my home it'll take $260,000. And the market value on it is $290,000 to $300,000. We still got ways to go to get our property values up and make our county more valuable. Our property values are very, very low. We can bring those properties, this can all be a wash if property values go up, but we lower the millage rate. And then no one will have, you'll pay the same property tax you paid last year. We all know you probably will get a 2 to 3% increase, even if it wasn't an update year. But to have a 20% increase on the people, that's gonna be a problem. As soon as they call me, I'm gonna say, look, this Sandra's number. This Dr. Pitcock's number, you know, you get it because they're gonna call. But again, my message I want to give to you guys today is, again, it's gonna be time to work on that budget really soon. Make sure, I don't know if you guys bring somebody in to help on the millage rates, or you guys just lay out whatever you need and have them do the millage rates. But a lot of people, you know, sometimes boards and cities, they'll say, okay, we're just gonna leave everything the same. No, we can't do it. Well, you can do it, but it's gonna be a lot of cost because the property values are going up. And if we leave those millage rates the same, the people are gonna get a large tax bill. Any questions?
I want to point out that we did not charge the maximum anyway, that we could charge more that we don't charge.
We had a small increase the
Yes.
last time, very small.
Right, but we still are lower than what we are, what we're including.
Right.
To your point though, are you able to support us with projections for the indexes and then projected millage?
Yes, I mean, after, she's asking like when, after probably around June, we will have these values. We will have the values of the county. We can give an estimate of what the values are for the county. We can get what the values are for the city, what the value is. So we can I'd probably be able to give you different values of things in the county by then. By then I'll be able to give you different values. But again, we have the board. I can tell you guys are fiscally conservative. I can tell you guys work good together. So, you know, just work on our millage rates. Ryan, with anything else you want to?
The only thing that I would say is please understand that we have to remain within the state standard. There is a standard that we have to remain in, and when I started here in October of last year,
Yes.
and realized pretty quickly that we were going to have to go up. If we didn't, we would not be able to pass some of the ratio studies and things that we have to pass. So we've done that. I brought the recommendation to Mike we need to let everybody know that this is happening, because as these values go up, taxes go up if nothing else changes, and when the taxes go up, that's when the people start to contact. So it's like Mike said, the millage rates, you know, that's really what drives the tax dollars. So if those millage rates can come down as the increases in the property go up, and they can kind of meet in the middle, then that helps out, you know, that helps us out with the public. But we also understand that, you know, there are a lot of things that have to be done, with the city, county, and the school, and, you know, whatever you guys need, you need, and that's understandable, so.
And every county is having this, Pontotoc, man, every county is an update year for a lot of them, and every county school board, they're all having these conversations, because again, like I said, when the person gets their card in the mail, again, all of this, they don't understand, but they understand that number is in them. That's what they understand, so that's why I'm just trying to get out and talk to our city, going there, talk to our boards, and just let them know, you know, it'll be time to work on millage rates soon.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, thank you.
That was really helpful. All right, Mr.
Thank y'all
Walker.
for coming.
Thank you so
y'all.
much. I appreciate that a lot.
See y'all.
All right. Thank you, very informative. We will continue on in our agenda, moving to item 5.4, the Water Valley High School academic update.
So we got a little data this time from our third benchmark, the final benchmark. If you look at the first page, I'm looking at the monthly board update for Water Valley High School. I believe that was the first one.
Yes.
And the third benchmark is down here far right. You can see the top left is our goals we had set at the beginning of the year, and the bottom right is where we are as of the third benchmark. That was in before spring break. So we'll get ready to start testing here in the next Thursday. So we've had some time between there. You can see that all the data related to that. I will say, after I crunched some numbers and went back and compared to the previous year, the high school is about 35 points higher than it was at the same time last year. And that's from an increase in the growth of both ELA and math, and as well as proficient advanced in some areas. Any questions about the high school's data? We'll move on to the junior high.
The growth of the high school and reading is outstanding.
It is.
I'm
It is.
curious what is different about that than the math work. I mean, we're off the mark for both of our.
Yeah, we're doing very well in both. So our 8th graders that were in 10th grade, they're in 10th grade now. When they were in 8th grade, they performed below the state average in ELA proficient and advanced. And now that they are, those scores are, that growth is banked from their 8th grade score, not banked from their 8th grade score, but it's, growth in 10th grade is determined on growth of what their scores were in 8th grade. Okay? So we've had an increase in the proficiency levels and performance levels of our students by the time that they've, been in 9th grade and gotten remediation, and now they're in 10th grade and they're tested again. We're just seeing good numbers. I mean, we're effective as far as gaining points in both proficient advanced and in growth, both our overall students and our lowest performing students. So just getting the job done, teachers getting the job done.
And then how about for math? Are we a little bit lower there in the growth?
At the high school?
Yeah, and really running pretty considerably behind our target in math as well.
Right, those numbers now, even though you gotta compare them and say, okay, this teacher's doing really good, she's gonna be, those are A-level numbers right there. Both of them are A-level numbers.
Okay.
So we're at a 723 right now after the third benchmark, which is, we still have a month left in school. A 759 is an A. So we're, I'm happy with that. That's knocking it out of the park. Now, of course, yes, we want it to be higher, but it just happens that ELA is doing a phenomenal job. Our math scores are about where they are every year, which are top of the state, as far as growth goes. Yeah, of course, we want them all that high, but
So there's
And-
not an attribution.
Well, okay, so ELA, you're testing standards from day one that you're gonna be testing
Mhm.
at the end of the school year. Math, at the third benchmark, we had standards we had not gotten to yet.
Okay.
So timing, a timing issue, you know, just the way you know, you start off testing everything throughout the year in ELA, where math is different standards every benchmark, and then a culmination of everything. So,
Yeah.
you know,
that's-
I know there was two standards that we had not hit fully in algebra
Uh-huh.
compared to, you know, ELA, but they're,
Got it.
we're hitting them now, so.
This is what every time is it? Oh, the others have questions.
Page 2 is our junior high scores, and junior high typically is a little behind, for whatever reason, like we always say. But the junior high at the current time is a 411, which is a high B for a 700-point school. So they're performing well, they're above, again, they're about 35 points as well above where we were at the same time last year.
And where are their growth benchmarks measured? Is it fifth grade?
So, 6th grade, so it's the
Okay.
year, it's the previous year.
Got it.
Okay, there's no growth for science, so they take a 5th grade science test and an 8th grade science and a 10th grade biology. Science and usage, you don't have growth.
Yeah.
What is it, 8?
For a
For the
700-point school,
Yeah.
about
I
$450.
forget. I'm just curious,
Okay.
how close, you said this was a high B, I was just curious how close it was.
We're in between an A and a B right now at the junior high. The high school, let's say about 28 points below an A.
Yeah, it wasn't that far,
No, 751?
So
759.
36 points.
Like a
That's a
zero.
great question.
Thank you. Okay, so A is a 442 on a 700-point scale. So junior high, you know, all the way K up to 8.
Sorry. Thank you.
And are these breakdowns underneath for high school?
Yeah, so the monthly school board update breakdown, where you're seeing the,
Mhm.
oh, I was talking about the numbers on page 3, I'm sorry. Just the monthly updates on enrollment.
I apologize to
and-
ask this, but will you use the page numbers in the packet? Is it page 56?
Oh, okay, I can.
55.
55, okay. Sorry.
I have mine as quick view, I'm sorry.
You're great.
Yes, that would be page 55.
Thank you.
So numbers at the high school, and that's the enrollment, ADA, things like that is 7 through 12. I didn't break it down by junior high like I did with the other data.
Yep. Chronic absences are down. Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, we usually do really good on our percentage of, you know, of chronic absenteeism, and it doesn't seem like it for us, but when you look at us in comparison to the rest of the state, we do a really good job getting kids to school. It doesn't seem like it a lot of times, gosh. But,
District 1 referrals are up in April, Sarah.
yeah, those SAP's rising. That's usually what happens.
That's right.
I'm telling you, that is what it is. Spring break fever. It's getting warm.
Yeah, I mean, we see that every year. We typically see that every year. As the school year goes on, the kids get tired of each other, and sometimes the teachers get tired of the kids. And so we do usually see a jump in referrals this time of year.
And then the next page is page 56 and 57.
That's the breakdown. I just broke it down by demographics, you know, what we're identified for school improvement on at both schools at one time, not just the elementary school, but I break it down like that.
Are there plans for closing the gap in experience?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Are are there plans to, like, what's our strategy to close the gap in experience between the demographic?
We've done a really good job of that over recent years. We are, as far as closing the gap between our African American students and our white students, we're steadily bringing that up, where it's getting close to being equal. Now, still have some room to improve with our students with disabilities.
Yeah.
And, that's something that is difficult, particularly with staffing issues and things like that, finding personnel. We're not identified at the high school as for school improvement with our students with disabilities, but, it could happen, and that goes back to just providing those interventions, in an inclusion setting with our special education teachers, and then pulling them out for their one-on-ones with their special education teachers. That's continuing.
Yeah, it's like a 20-point gap.
Right. Now, you see our ELA lowest performing student growth for our students with disabilities is very high. And a large portion of our lowest performing student population are students that have IEPs.
Is the logic train is that they're already, that amount of growth doesn't necessarily impact the achievement because they're so far behind when they get to it.
Well, the lower a student is, contrary to popular belief, the easier it is for them to grow. So your 1A students and, your 1As, your 1s and your 2s, it's very easy to move within those two performance levels. The split in the middle, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. When you get to your 3As and your 3Bs, it's a lot more difficult to move a kid from a 3A to a 3B and then from a 3B to a 4.
Yeah.
So, as we see the proficient advanced numbers go up, which you see a lot of times, the growth numbers either
Decline.
remain
Yeah,
stagnant
plateau
or
or-
decline.
yeah.
Right. But you're getting the growth points, you're getting more proficient advanced points. So there's a push now to remove some of the growth points and move them
In the
more
model.
proficient advanced. And that's going to happen. It's out for public comment right now to remove the U.S. history test and then place those points back in the CCR acceleration, and then to take some growth points and then move them towards the proficient advanced points for the 25-26 school year.
I think that's important to note as we think about a couple of things altogether, what we just heard about, what our strategy is to close those gaps and move those kids in that direction if we know that that's going to happen, so that our numbers and then grades level score for the district continues to either stay or improve, and how we will allocate resources to ensure that that can happen. And that is a decision at the board table with the input from the folks who are doing the work. So I just want to underline that so that we're holding on to it as we start to think about making some of those choices.
Absolutely, because we lost the money from school improvement by getting off of school improvement.
Right.
So we have to find a way to keep going, to keep moving forward. Now, we've done that in 7th and 8th grade by adding free materials through iReady to perform, to provide our interventions. But next year, I'm going to be asking for, I'm going to be requiring more money to continue to provide those interventions for our 7th and 8th grade students and our, all demographics and our special education students.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the budgetary implications of that, and I think resources include how we think about staffing and where we're putting our energy there. So just, again, just a call for us to keep that top of mind as we're moving forward. Are there any other questions or discussion about the high school update? Hearing none, let's move forward in our agenda to item 5.5, the Davidson Elementary update.
Right now, Davidson is about at a 350. Okay, this time last year, we're about 21 points higher than we were last year, which is good. The biggest increase that I've seen, and we'll get to that in just a second if we look at this first page. Again, we still have standards to teach. We kept moving forward a month of, hitting it hard before the benchmarks, before the state test. I actually did 4th grade ELA today. So it's already started. really close to the growth goals we set. The growth goals we set were to be a B.
Mhm.
So, I think last year we were 359 when it was all said and done, 377 as a B. And I told, Lee that, I told Vicky that, we can get to an A this year. I mean, I really think we have a chance, whereas last year, it's like this time I was thinking it was gonna be a down year. So that's really a testament to the job that both those
School leaders.
school leaders are doing. I mean, I was projecting it, just looking at everything I was seeing, projecting us to be down. But we got a shot to actually increase, which is great. Let's see.
And do you, I mean, I have an opinion about what I think might be leading to that kind of growth. Do you have an attribution for?
Okay, so if we want to go down, I was going to speak on that when we
Yeah.
get into our charts.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
But you'll see an increase in, it doesn't look like much of an increase, but compared to last year, I can attribute those 21, 25 points to the performance in ELA of the proficient advanced of our students with disabilities and the growth of our students with disabilities, specifically in ELA, which is where we're using those targeted interventions. So you asked me at the last board meeting,
Yeah.
if our plan was to double down on it, if it was effective.
Mhm.
And so based on the data that I'm seeing now, using those interventions with assistant teachers specifically assigned to.
Like live one-to-one
Right.
interaction. Yeah.
It has been effective from what I'm seeing.
My additional outside perspective attribution would be also just consistency in leadership.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a big difference. I mean, it really does, just having, expectations, consistent expectations. Knowing what you're gonna be dealing with when you come to work every day is huge.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that both of our school leaders are capable, and that's a big thing. They're very capable, dedicated, give it their all every day, so.
Excellent. Right now, when we look at the demographic breakdowns for ELA and math, those gaps persist and they are along the same lines, but they are not as broad.
Right.
How are we planning to leverage where kids are right now in elementary school to continue to close the gap, but also not let it widen as they get up into middle and high school?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, is the older they get, the more they progress, the harder it is to catch them back up. So with our early learning collaboratives and really starting off, Ms. Lipsy's been hitting kindergarten hard, is starting as early as we can. Because, your accountability grades based on basically your third to your, at the elementary school, your third through sixth grade. Well, sometimes those pre-K through, 2 gets overlooked. And we're perpetually playing catch up. So it's not a quick fix, but it's something that in the future is going to pay, dividends. If we start them early and we start focusing on that pre-K to 2 instruction and making it effective and making it, where it needs to be, in the end, we're going to see some increases and we're going to see that gap. We're not starting off with a huge gap that we're perpetually trying to catch up with.
Yeah. And do we have an administrator who is solely focused on the continuity in that curriculum and instructional work in that pre-K to second grade space?
Ms. Lipson's been heavily involved with it this year, as far as, she's been in there daily, working with those students. She could probably speak on it more than I can, because that's her She's an expert.
We've started in kindergarten, really focusing on that, looking at our curriculum, like our McGraw-Hill, our HQM, and like we gave our,
Station.
we gave our iStation assessment, we've been tracking that. A lot of it is helping teachers build a capacity to align with what the kids need to understand. You know, we go into the classroom and we look at how our students are learning. So some of the things that we are going back to our HQIM, looking to make sure that it is aligning with what is being tested. And that is some of the gaps that we are seeing right now, is what they're saying that they're teaching is not really what's happening. And so we're trying to go back and fill in those gaps. Ms. Person is also assisting me. She's working a lot with the first grade. So we're looking at a lot of the curriculum that's being taught to make sure that it is aligning with what is being tested. And so that's where we're finding a lot of our gaps are.
You want some uniformity in your high-quality instructional materials, because before you might have 4 different teachers pulling 4 different things, testing 4 different things. So just, standardizing that.
Yeah, that was the first thing.
Right, is the first thing.
Yeah, and that makes sense, given the turnover that we've seen
Right.
at the elementary school
And
and all the staff.
one of the things that we are trying to do is build a curriculum that's kind of, like you said, the consistency. So if this person leaves, it doesn't necessarily change. It kind of stays the same, but we're looking at our standards because they are changing also.
Are there other questions about the Davidson Elementary School update? I appreciate us spending time here.
No problem.
Thank you. There are no further questions. Let's move forward in the agenda to item 5.6, the school board policy review.
I think at the last board policy meeting, there was a question about this particular policy, JH, student activities, and I believe it's the highlighted sentence at the bottom, student athletes may not participate in any athletic activity until the athletic director has received signed parental receipt of the athletic handbook.
And is there an athletic campus?
Yes.
And is it included as like an attachment or an article that we can?
I can send you that, the handbook, the athletic handbook. Let's see, I've got it. I'll do that real quick.
And
Yes.
is that something that are we enforcing that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
when we redid that before, we had every sport had a different athletic handbook. So we've redone the handbooks and sent them out. Yes.
Okay. And do we need to take action?
No, but we,
Okay.
now, I'm not saying there's not a child that may have slipped through signing the handbook, but when I met with Slick and with Coach Hargett, I've been knowing him
Rural.
35 years.
We knew you were talking about.
And Dr. Person, that
Yeah.
every student is supposed to sign the handbook, and he's got a stack of them in his office. I think, I call it their homeroom sport, right? So if they're playing football and they're going to play basketball and then they're going to play baseball, where their homeroom sport needs to get the athletic handbook signed.
Okay.
You wouldn't be signing it for every
Time you
time.
engage.
One
Yeah.
time is enough.
Yeah.
I'm forwarding it to y'all right now.
Thank you. Are there any questions about policy JH and student activities? Great. There's no action to take, so we'll move forward to the board members' reports. We'll just note that we need to schedule our next and final strategic planning time. We will do that in May. Dr. Thornton is going to work with us to relaunch our community survey to make it a little shorter, simpler, and segmented so we can get perspectives, and has been quite busy with grant writing in her other job, real job. So I will connect with her this week to look at that.
Will you also ask her about our hours? How will we?
Dr. Jackson?
Yes.
I will.
I mean,
It's just we tend all three of them.
right, just learning how that's being recorded,
Mhm.
or if we need to do something.
And then, thank you to Tanya for reminding me that the SEI statement of ethics for all school board members have to go in to the state site and just sign it electronically. And I'll find the link and email it to everyone. It's June.
Just did it, huh?
Compliance. We got it. Okay. Is there anything else? All right, we will move forward.
We read it on last year, we're actually gonna read it again this year, I think we got a.
Athletics handbook.
I didn't know that before Tyler could do anything, they were serious. I'm not gonna say something that slipped through, but I did know, check that.
Let's move forward into item 7, which is the superintendent's report. As soon as Drew is permission.
Figure out my equipment.
You're perfect.
Okay, got a lot going on. Of course, baseball made it to round 2 of the playoffs. We'll have a new site here. It's supposed to be Friday, Saturday a new site, Monday back here if needed, but we're looking at moving it up, possibly due to weather. So it might be a Thursday, Friday. Hopefully we can get it done too, but a great job for them advancing to the next round. Just some things we got going on. It's a great time of year, a lot of celebrations and things like that. Friday at 9 o'clock, our seniors will have their senior breakfast. Is that right? Get their caps and gowns, which is a good little ceremony. May 13th, our 7th through 11th academic awards will be, where's it going to be? We're going to do it at the gym. We're going to do it at the gym one more year, and then next year talk about moving it down to the auditorium once it gets completed. And we used to have it there, but before they redid it, like, we'd go down there, clean up the floor, and you find like dead squirrels and
And is that May 13th when the scholarships are?
that'll be May
awarded?
15th.
May
We'll do
15th.
that. That'll be the senior, like we did the slideshow and the scholarships and we present and more. You should be getting an email for that. What time are we gonna do that? Do you have a set time yet? For the senior awards and all that? 10 o'clock. That's all we should do. And of course, graduation's Friday, May the 23rd at 7 o'clock, Bobby Clark Field.
And
Now's
I'm sorry,
the
but I will
time.
not be there to attend, I have to do that.
Now's the time where I start checking the weather every 5 minutes. And now sometimes it takes place. Our second graders went to the Buffalo Park today in Tupelo, so that was, bless their teachers. I mean, I was like, y'all have fun, I want to be part of that. But everybody made it back in one piece. It was good. May 20th will be 6th grade awards day, 8:30. So there'll be 3 days straight of just award ceremonies. 521 pre-K and kindergarten. The 22nd, 1st and 2nd grade, 3rd and 4th, and then 5th grade will be in different intervals throughout the day. So got a lot going on. It's a great time of year. It goes by fast. But it's been a good year and a challenging year. But I'm proud of the job that everybody's doing. Our administrators, our teachers have done an outstanding job. Dealt with a lot of adversity, but they pushed through it, and that's what winners do, push through.
Well, we thank you and all of your staff. Okay. We're going to move now to item 8, which is executive session. And the way executive session works, we'll need a motion to consider executive session. We'll take a vote, 15% of the board agrees we should consider, then we will clear the room, have consideration, then we'll reopen the meeting, share what we'll do in executive session, then we'll take a vote to go into executive session, and then we'll move that direction. So is there a motion to consider executive session?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. If you'll give us a moment, we will consider the executive session. Thank you.
As a hometown bank, BankFirst is proud to offer top-notch banking products with perks that support local businesses and people who support their communities. We believe our towns, no matter the size, deserve the best products and the best customer service. An experience we all deserve. We're hometown banking at its best. Do you bank with us? You should.